from the Workplace Ninja Summit in Luzerne. Highlights, insights, and simply interesting talks. This is the Workplace Ninja Podcast.
So welcome back. New recording, new people on the table. My name is Frans Oudendorp. With me this time, I have two co-hosts. So how important is that? Harjit is with me, but also Peter. Peter joined the keynote. Yep. So you have all the questions.
Hopefully.
And we have our Microsoft friends again on the table, like last year, Christiaan Brinkhoff and Scot Manchester. We did already, I think we do that already for the third time.
I think so, yeah.
My second time, but probably his third.
Yeah. And I think, last year we did the recording as well. And luckily you're back and you have some time to do some recordings as well.
Well, thanks for having us, first of all. And the great stroopwafel we just had.
Yeah, he's picking stroopwafels out of our teeth.
That's nice from the Netherlands.
And they're also official ninjas now.
It's lekker.
Yeah, it's lekker.
It's lekker.
Definitely. So you're coming in today, driving the keynote today. I think Peter has all the questions on the keynote, but because you saw the keynote. But on first hand, what was the main takeaway from the keynote this year?
Well, we had an intent for a takeaway, but Peter, what did you think? What was your takeaway from that session?
I think basically the first slide summarized it. Easier manageability, greater compute power, and business continuity. And I think all those three buckets were covered.
Do you feel like it landed?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. It was also my first session of the week, which I was able to join.
I hope we set a high bar for
Yeah, that's true. So
That's the only session you went?
Yeah, and the AMA last night, but yeah.
You feel honored, Christiaan.
Yeah, well.
First and only session he's been to so far.
Finally found some time to join a session, yeah.
Well, that's an honor to hear that great feedback from you as well, knowing that you're an MVP and doing all these talks yourself. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. But I think there's a lot going on in the space, right? And what I personally liked, and maybe you can both explain a little bit more, the unpersonalized PC and the real cloud PC, the personalized PC.
Yeah, we made an analogy of what traditional VDI, the experience that it provides to end users, is a bit impersonal. And I made a joke that VDI stands for Virtual Desktop Impersonal. Mm-hmm. We know it stands for infrastructure, but the reality is traditional VDI models typically take a lot of the capabilities away from end users that they've become accustomed to on a laptop. Mm-hmm. And what it means is, just the lack of confidence is lost, their productivity is lost, and of course it means that anytime any of those actions that they can do on their laptop requires IT, support. And, as IT managers, we often don't even realize how often end users solve their own problems, right? They call us after they've tried all the basic things. They've hold the power button down and restarted the machine. They turn Wi-Fi off and back on. They turn Bluetooth off and on. I mean, they do the basics typically before they call us. In virtualization, unfortunately, they don't have any of those kind of controls. And so when we thought about creating an experience that was really compelling for end users, we wanted to really lean into giving them back those kind of capabilities, making them feel confident behind this, and knowing that many of our customers often have high turnover rates, whether it's contractors coming in and out all the time, and that training and uplifting and getting them familiar behind it, can be costly. And every new employee that comes in, you're retraining and trying to teach them this. So we wanted to bring that personalization back. And I'd like Christiaan to talk a little bit about how we also thought about the admin experience and creating some consistency there as well.
Yeah, one of the things I like a lot about that analogy of the VDI Virtual Desktop Impersonal, I also sometimes use that stroopwafel still floating around. Traveling in a bus versus just your own personal car, right? Everybody loves traveling in your own car versus a bus, right?
Cattle versus pets also, that's another one that could apply, right?
So yeah, no, definitely. We are here to help and give that personal experience, the easy touch, the easy button that you need to leverage that flexibility and virtualization layer. And with the new Windows app, you can now as well get a very streamlined end-user experience from other platforms. And Boot, we talked about that, I think, last year as well, right? So it has been out now for like more than a year in GA. Or maybe, like, that was September, so maybe it is like...
It's a year.
It could be its anniversary.
It's a year. We announced that more or less. It was announced right before the event that we had, and we talked about all the experiences at that moment.
Yeah, I remember that. So from that perspective, Boot and Switch and the Windows app create a really like new turnkey end-user experience for users. And then Peter, like yourself, like being an IT admin, it also creates a delighted IT admin experience that is just familiar, right? So. Yeah, really cool to see that resonating with this audience, and we're not ready yet. We're warming up.
A lot more to come. Yeah.
And I think from IT admin perspective, the focus is changing, or maybe the people are changing. And AVD, in my perspective, was more like a data center kind of solution, and now with Windows 365, the workplace admin can manage virtualization.
That was kind of our mindset when we built ABD. It was very intentional that it was a VDI product, that we gave those controls to admins that take advantage of all the rich capability Azure has. You consider all the various compute families, the densities, the storage options, the locations. There's billions of combinations to choose from to build a deployment model.
Can be very complex also.
Well, that's the downside, right? So there's skilled people that can navigate all that, can identify the best options out of all those combinations to meet the needs of their virtualization business. But the reality is there's not as many as there is opportunities. So, we have a collection of 700-800 of the minds that know how to do that here, but this is the majority of the people, that know how to do that. And so to reach beyond the limitations of the skills required to navigate all that was really what we set out to do when we built Windows 365. So one was intentionally a VDI product, but bringing it to the cloud and all the power the cloud brings. But then trying to consolidate between the workflows, tools, and processes admins go through in managing physical devices to be able to build on those skills, because endpoint admins is growing. So virtualization experts are shrinking, endpoint admins are growing, exploding, in fact, right? Because securing the endpoint has become the new, vector to, protect from attacks, right? And so as we see this growing number of folks using endpoint admin tools like Intune, and the growing number of people that have expertise in that domain to be able to build on that and allow those people with those expertise to apply the same tools, workloads, and technologies to a cloud PC that they do a physical PC. And the results of that have just really been amazing.
Yeah.
And it's benefited both. Intune has seen explosive growth, as well as Windows 365 by now having this great experience all integrated into a single portal.
And what we're seeing now in the business world with, companies acquiring other companies and so on and so forth, I think one of the great benefits of Windows 365 is quickly onboarding employees to a company, right? Rather than your old traditional method, which takes time and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know you're spot on there. So imagine that if you create a provisioning policy, you connect it to an Entra ID group, and you can just put a user in there, and the cloud PC just provisions automatically. So you can theoretically automate that process, having an HR person adding that user in a group via like Power Automate or ServiceNow options or other partner solutions, or just build it into an automated flow you build yourself, and then the rest just happens. Like, never wait. In my opinion, you never should have to wait on your PC on the first day you start as an employer.
Exactly.
It still happens a lot. With a cloud PC, we're able to fix that.
Yeah.
You can have it ready.
Now with the hybrid, right? Now so many organizations hiring remote employees, to actually get them a physical device, going through those logistics. And it's expensive. You factor that across every employee, that time between when they started and you start paying them until the time they're actually being productive, can be quite expensive, especially when you have high turnover, you got gig workers and again, that contractor scenarios. But now to allow, this zero touch, zero trust, and what I call zero ramp experiences, actually it's coined from a PM on the team, Tristan Scott, I'll give him credit for that term because he came up with it, the zero ramp scenario. But that whole idea now really unlocks that capability where I can just provision a cloud PC and they can grab any device they have, Android, iOS, Mac, Windows, and even just a browser, and get access to their cloud PC. And it works on the back end too. So, if you're, offboarding, that employee.
I have first-hand experience with this with my new manager, who was just recently hired and onboarded, and she had to wait for her PC due to supply, constraints. But she was able to use her own device and Windows 365, and she was up and running in no time.
And we have some really cool technologies that are going to bring your own PC even better, aren't we, Christiaan? You want to talk a little bit about the MAM capability that's coming?
Yeah, we are working on like more granular controls from like non-managed devices. So think about like bidirectional clipboard redirection, but as well like local USB or disk redirection capabilities that you can just block if your device is not on a certain patch level, or like everybody that listens knows.
Yeah, that's a conditional access integration you talked about.
And then use app protection policies and all these things that are just an Intune, right? So very easy. And now available for iOS and Android as well, but soon as well for like operating systems like Windows that we own ourselves. So stay tuned for more news there. We are really heavily investing in security and these scenarios that like in the past haven't been like touched like very seriously. We really want to kind of revamp that and make it like end-to-end like work for all these scenarios that have been popping up after COVID more and more. And we see like remote working is here to stay, like Gartner, IDC, all these like companies acknowledge the fact that like 3 days in a week or 2 days, people are either hybrid at the office or combination, right? And you need these capabilities to just make it like secure and configurable in an easy way versus like all these different layers of solutions to make it work, right? And we are really helping there.
Yeah, and on both solutions, right? On both AVD and Windows 365.
That's correct.
I saw the list of security enhancements coming up. They are almost the same.
Correct.
Both go hand in hand. It's not like I'm an old config manager consultant.
Yeah.
And I often get the question, is config manager dead? So most likely people will also ask, is AVD dead? It's not. It's here to stay.
Frankly, traditional VDI has been around for 3 decades, and I don't see it going away anytime soon. So you made a good point, Peter. If you were in our keynote, you would have seen that we had this security column of new features. And if you looked at the AVD features and Windows 365 features, they were almost identical. And that is because Windows 365 is built on the AVD platform. So AVD is not going away anytime soon because it's actually what powers Cloud PC as well. So making it the tools that we take to assemble a Windows 365 experience, we just make those same tools available to partners and for customers to go build their own solution. So those two are tied together, and their futures are tied together. So we will. I know that customers really like the option of being able to manage their own and choosing anything they want. And SaaS. In fact, we're seeing a growing number of customers that are doing both. In fact, I've spent the last week traveling across Europe and the U.S. talking with customers, and I'd say about 30% of them, very large deployments where they have a mix of AVD and Windows 365. And we love to see that. We love to see them being able to share a lot of the common components and kind of streamline because once you set up like an Azure VNet for hosting AVD, you can use that same Azure VNet for hosting Windows 365. Now we have a unified app, so you can combine the additional access policies either at the app level or device level. All of that makes it really easy for organizations to choose both and even move between them as their needs evolve over time.
Right. One thing I want to emphasize, and maybe Christiaan, you can talk about, or Scott, the flexibility of Windows 365. I met a gentleman who actually uses his phone, and he doesn't carry a laptop, and he goes to work or at home or whatever, just plugs it in, and he gets on a large screen like that. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? With the power of the cloud, you can enlight or enrich so many devices that you can stream Netflix almost on every device, like in your car screen and I don't know, even my child had a small kit kind of VTAC thing, and that also supports Netflix, right? Imagine that you can also just use it as a Windows PC because the hardware that you need for Netflix and other streamings is identical to how you stream or what you need for streaming Windows as well. And the phone-based option you just called out is the Lenovo ThinkPhone from Motorola. We worked with them closely a year ago to bring a new purposely built experience inside a phone, and when you do USB-C to HDMI, you boot straight into a cloud PC. And that's just an example of how you can enable end users from their phone to use Windows and stream that as well.
All right, yeah, that's great. Thanks, Scott.
Cheers, everybody.
We'll see you later.
So Scott needs to leave because
The busy schedule.
other meetings.
Yeah.
But we will continue with Christiaan a bit. You do, I think, 6 sessions on the Workplace Ninja event, then you come in on Tuesday, not on Monday, because you had other things to do in Germany.
Thanks for reminding me of that.
Actually, we have a session in
Half an hour.
On MVPs.
How to become an MVP
Right.
and how we can help you coaching and providing the facilities and capabilities to become an MVP like you, Peter, and Frans as well.
Yeah, but how are you doing that? So much sessions, and I know you're from the community as well before you joined Microsoft, but so much information that you need to share. How you manage that?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's passion. I really love what I'm doing. The mission we're on, I'm like super passionate about end user computing, Intune, everything all around. So that first of all helps, because that means that everything I do, whether it's presenting here or working in Redmond and work with the developers, doesn't feel like work. So that's
a hobby.
Well, yeah,
Kind of.
Yeah, a hobby feels a little bit. We're doing some hobby work and it's serious stuff that we're building. Of course. But I get your point. It's true. It's true. In terms of how do I do it? Yeah, well, I work for it, of course, but as well. Work a lot with my colleagues and have them helping with some demos and content as well to keep it like refreshing and help as well the team. So as I present some of these slides, like when there are questions coming out of it, I bring those back to the team that owns that specific feature, and then they can learn and benefit from it too. And the content itself, mainly most content is created by ourselves, like either Scott, myself, or other folks that are here as well. But some content is also created by colleagues, and we bring that here. But no, it's a lot of effort, but it's also a lot of fun. So and doing it like back to back and also meet customers is something I really like and get energy back from too. So it's like a two-way effort. So I wasn't here on Monday. I was in Munich for another conference where I presented as well, which was also great to see because the excitement in Munich is just as here on the Windows Cloud products very high. I'm just privileged to be here and be able to present 6 sessions because, that means that the topic is booming and customers love it and they want to learn more. And as long as that gets coming back, I remain coming and give my energy as much as I can, and bring the colleagues in as well to help customers with it.
Yeah, and also we are really thankful of that, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Talking about the keynote that you give, but on the other sessions, what is the main thing that you want attendees keep learning from you? What is the takeaway?
Here, it's a very good question. So I come really from the principle of if you don't know something, you kind of don't start with it too. So I don't know, if you look at like probably Config Manager 5 years ago or 3 years ago, there are a lot of customers still using Config Manager and didn't use Intune yet at that time. And we all know that Intune at that time was also great service, but if you never touched it or never used it, you didn't got familiar with it, and therefore you also didn't use it and you kept using Config Manager. It's the same with like Windows 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop. If you never touched it or never used it, it creates a little bit resistance of, hey, I don't know it, so I'm not going to use it. Yeah. So I think it's very important to make sure that the benefits, the story, and the confidence of these events is landing and helping customers to help them as well. Like, for example, I think it was the first Ignite where we announced Azure Virtual Desktop. So it's a little bit like 5 years ago. And we revealed it, and customers were not expecting it from Microsoft. And we had an IT manager coming to us at the booth, and he said, I'm going to get my promotion because I'm now able to do what I always wanted to, like transform my virtualization environment to a more simpler cloud-based version. And there are more of these examples, right, where you really energize like an IT manager or consultant or an IT pro with new tech, just by delivering new tech to just make their lives better and energizing, right? And that's really the passion that I feel myself, but I also want to translate to people here to give them like the tools and the things to help them in their business, to help their C-level people and colleagues as well, to deliver a better end user experience or a more easier, approachable experience from like a Mac to get to that virtualized environment, which was not possible with a previous solution or something. So, yeah, it's very energizing to see all the good feedback. And yeah, what I'm taking most out of these sessions is feedback, of course. There's always room for feedback. I was here 2 years ago. We didn't have the Swiss data center region. A year later, we had, right? So those things are the effects of being here, providing your feedback to us, and we bring it back and we act on it. And that's pretty much the main thing. I'm here for feedback, hearing what can we do better. If it's good, it's great too. Like, I bring that back too, but there's always like something else.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, there was like the watermarking feature.
Oh, yeah.
We have that feature now in GA. It's a great feature. However, it's very visible in the session. So there was like feedback. Can you make it a little less visible, more translucent, like more transparent? So I already brought that back to the team. So we are considering, hey, maybe we can make it more adjustable, things like that, right? So small things, but you only learn those while talking with like the field people that are actually deploying it.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
You hit it on the nail.
But it's also getting feedback from the communities like that, but also the analysts. One of the points in the keynote was also the Gartner and the other ones making huge steps in the last couple of years.
Like what they think about it and how.
Yeah, but also how not only they think about it, but also the others in the industry.
Yeah, I'm privileged to have been part of 3 products. Scott has been part of more, but I've been part of 3 products, like moving from like nothing to something, and they all did kind of what we kind of promise customers. Like sometimes you come across products that like on the slides look better than it actually is when you implement it, right? And the products that we stand behind of are not like that. We do what we say the product is doing, right? And that's directly a result into the Gartner Magic Quadrant, for example, because they measure based on customer insights. So they are not like looking at us, they look at customers. So it's very unbiased, like independent, like analysis that they do. And of course they go to us and ask, hey, what are you doing more in the next 5 years? So it's like a combo between customer and Microsoft.
Yeah, you explained with the why and
correct. Yeah, and I think that's the special thing of Gartner, that it really is an independent like study that really gives you a good view of, hey, I'm betting for my strategy on like virtualization or endpoint strategy on the next 5 years. Which products should I pick, right? And then it's always like you get these different perspectives, but you also want to kind of have a little bit of red wire in that kind of decision to make. And Gartner is really, really good at that. And we got pointed as a leader last year and this year as well, but even with more significant distance, just announced like 2 days ago.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And that, I guess, gives also energy in the team and for you.
Yeah, it's like the crown jewel, right? Like if you do your work well as a team, like the whole team in Redmond that works on this product, if you get this result, this is why you're doing the work, right? It's like the products that you build are representation of the people that build it. Like it's the culture, the people that love working with other people that you just see translating into the feature sets as well.
Cool.
What is, more on a personal note, what is working on all the things within Windows 365, within AVD in the last year? What is the thing that you are most excited about?
Well, I don't like to use the term "wait for Ignite" or whatsoever because
you said it a couple of times.
Well, it's kind of
more or less the things that are already there.
It's the red wire always between, hey, we have been working 2 years on something, but we couldn't share, and then you kind of get to that like last 4 weeks, and then you're like, I want to tell it, but I can't. But now what I'm most proud of is, I think the end user experiences that are really turnkey, that come close to the physical PC, so boot switch and more of these enhancements like the phone you just said, Harjit, as well. Those experiences I think I like the most because if you have been in virtualization, like let's say for 10, 15 or 30 years, and you come at birthday party or something, and somebody asks you, "What are you doing for work?" Right? It's always very hard to explain what you're doing.
It is.
Playing with computers.
really-
all
Yeah,
day.
something
It really is.
Yeah, and the moment we started building Windows 365 and boot and all these experiences, it starts to kind of say, okay, it's just Windows, right? It's a Windows computer. So in fact, a funny story here, like 3 years ago, we shipped Windows 11. I was the PM on that for Windows 365. And my parents, my mother, saw like the Windows 11 announcement coming online, like very public, of course. And I said, like, I'm working on that. And she was like, okay, that's what you're working on, right? So it's just like, I think that are the small things I like the most. Like, you come more into the Windows area and everybody knows that, and your job becomes more impactful because you touch more people that are actually using Windows, where virtualization is a smaller opportunity. But Windows 365, we're talking about more than 1 billion and endpoints here, right? So it's really cool to see how that kind of gets so like large, and these experiences are turnkey, because cloud and the end user experience, you should not like introduce complexity to an end user while cloud is being introduced, right? And that's where I really thrive in simplifying that, create a delighted experience, creating all these components coming together without the complexity. And that's what keeps me up at night and drives me in terms of the roadmap moving forward with the team.
We got a session to go and prepare.
You need to prepare the session. That's what you're saying. But that's
You got to take a bio break. And all.
Super awful.
yeah, but
waffle.
that's all about the MVP program. And if you want to to know more about the program, you're probably if you're viewing or listening, then you can join the session, but it will be there, and probably there is info on the internet as well on that. Reach out to them, to Harjit and Christiaan, if you want to know more on that. But thanks, Christiaan, for being here. Also Scot, he's already he left already, but he's still here.
He's still in spirit.
And I love that you joining us in the recording. Thanks for that. Looking forward to everything what's coming up in Windows 365 and AVD. So keep an eye on everything there. So if you like this video, like and subscribe. See you next time.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, folks.